What has made them so dominant, in your opinion, in this run?
To me, Jay, they're just a very complete team. You know, it starts, and it wasn't a huge night for them, but the receiving core with Jefferson and Addison, and I will throw Hawkinson at tight end in there, is elite. It is, you do not get better than that trio. But then also, you know, defensively, they can make plays. They offer a lot of different looks. I find it very confusing for a young guy like Caleb, and you could see that. And they can really put pressure on the quarterbacks in early downs. They love to be in third and long, and then they actually back off the pressure later on. So defensively, they can make enough plays, and offensively, like I said, when you've got a run game with Aaron Jones going, and then all of a sudden you've got the best receiver in the league, in my opinion, at least most talented in Jefferson, and you add a guy like Jordan Addison as his number 2, they can beat you in so many different ways. You got a great coach in Kevin O'Connell. You're sitting there at 12-2, and your only 2 losses are to the division-leading Los Angeles Rams and to the Detroit Lions, who are also 12-2. So they beat everybody. They've lost to 2 good teams. Again, I love the way this team is created, Jay, because they're just very complete. They can beat you a variety of different ways on offense and on defense.
And we just saw the NFC North, which is a juggernaut division, except for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Now, Caleb Williams came in kind of like hyped as a generational type quarterback. It's been a rough season for him. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, who would know, Hall of Fame quarterback, had a lot to say about Williams. And one thing he did say was, the second he sees him losing confidence, he would pull him out of there at this point. Do you think it's time to just pull him out of there and let him watch on the sideline?
You know, I would. My gut says absolutely not. But then when I watch the film and some things going on, you're like, hey, some of these things are not, oh, it's the NFL, it's a different level. You know, in baseball, I believe the term is called the yips. In football, I don't really know a quarterback that has these, but you look at this, like this is 3rd and 8, it's wide open. It's only 13-0 here. We got a shot. 1st and 10, you got Keenan Allen, you step up, everything looks great, and you absolutely airmail this. That throw isn't being caught by anybody.
No.
And then second goal, this was a miraculous play, keep the play going on. He throws across the body. But again, give Oduze a shot here. These guys aren't even getting a hand on it. And then this is what scares me. These plays, Jay, like we're pretending it's a video game. This is the NFL. I understand extending plays. But at what point were you going to throw this? Should have been a pick. Not a good situation.
Well, you see him there because he got hit hard at the end of that play.
Smoked.
Yeah, just leveled. And, like, look at him.
And the body language here, again, it's tough. It's tough for me to sit here and say, like, hey, what's going on? And I love the confidence he had. I do respect that. You know, he's a generational guy. Came in saying, hey, told the punter that they drafted he's not going to have to punt that much. If you're going to make those claims, first off, the punter punts a ton. Okay. Secondly,
that was incorrect.
Yeah, it's like we got to do the fundamentals right, the basics. Hey, the 3rd and 8 where we've got a wide open man, we got to put that ball in his chest. This is the NFL, Caleb Williams. We can't airmail that. And if you airmail one, we got to lock it back in. You're in a divisional game. You got Keenan Allen wide open in the end zone. We got to fit that in that window there.
You're really wondering, and again, Joe and Troy were talking about it the whole game, what coach is coming in next year? You know, who can get the most out of Caleb Williams? Be really interesting to see. And before we talk about the race for the number 1 seed in the NFC, Luke, more bad news for your Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And this is real bad because the injuries are piling up, and running back David Montgomery is out for the season. He suffered a sprained MCL in Sunday's game against the Bills. Detroit also lost 2 defensive starters long term.
He's just the ultimate teammate, ultimate competitor. You know, we're going to miss him, man. He's another one of these guys that got us to this position, helped get us to where we're at. And man, the rest of us, we owe him to keep going and make sure that wasn't in vain.
All right, so the Lions are banged up. The Vikings and Eagles are just rolling. Who do you think ends up as the top seed in the NFC right now?
So this is a hunch. You know, the odds are not going to say this, but I like Minnesota. And now there's a strength of schedule play here that's going to come into effect. I don't believe they have it over the Eagles at the moment, but I think with who the Vikings have to play versus who the Eagles have to play here late, as you can see, they've got kind of 3 games that are against not as great teams, the Commanders being the best one, where Minnesota's got the Seahawks. Now, is Sam Howell playing? That will be a very tough situation for the Seahawks in that game. I think even if Geno is, it'll be tough. That Packers game is going to be the decider because what happens with the Lions defense, I just can't see a world in which the Lions defense in Week 18 are going to want to play man coverage. The Lions stick to their guns on both offense and defense. And when you roll in there with Justin Jefferson, who's going to cook anybody in man coverage, Jordan Addison, who's going to cook anybody in man coverage, and T.J. Hawkinson, who is a matchup nightmare for anybody on that Lions safety linebacker core, in a pass rush that is not as great as it was when you had Aiden Hutchinson, unless something crazy happens, I love the matchup there for the Vikings. So again, if they can beat the Packers there, it's a hunch. The odds aren't going to say this, but producer Kyle Lawson, he's probably clapping back there right now. I think the Vikings are going to end up with the 1 seed.
Big Vikings.
It's a hunch. It's a hunch.
We'll see what happens.